HBO buried a Sopranos continuation deal, a direct sequel to the most discussed finale in television history. That would have changed everything about how we understand Tony Soprano's story. And the reason they killed it is something they've spent 15 years making sure you'd never connect. You were told the story ended with a cut to black in June of 2007. You were told David Chase made his statement and walked away. But the truth is that the story didn't end there, not for HBO, not for Chase, and not for James Gandolfini. What ended was something else entirely. A deal. A film. A future for that character that got dismantled piece by piece for reasons that have nothing to do with art and everything to do with money and timing and one catastrophic miscalculation. And the real reason it died is worse than you think. The Sopranos finale aired June 10, 2007 and drew 11.9 million live viewers, the highest-rated episode in the show's entire run. Within 48 hours, HBO's switchboard was flooded. Fans wanted more. Critics wanted answers. The cut to black had done exactly what Chase intended. It created a wound that wouldn't close. HBO saw that wound and immediately saw a dollar sign. By late 2007, internal conversations had already begun about what a Sopranos film could look like. Not a prequel, not a spin-off. A continuation, Tony alive or dead, and Chase finally resolving the question that 60 million people were still arguing about in diners and comment sections and living rooms. Chase, characteristically, resisted. He'd said what he wanted to say, but by 2012, something shifted. According to reporting in The Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, Chase and HBO entered into serious, structured conversations about a feature-length film set after the finale. James Gandolfini was central to those discussions. His participation was the non-negotiable. HBO reportedly put a figure in the range of $30 to $40 million on the table. Chase began developing a treatment. The project had a real frame around it. The deal was real. Then it started to die. The first complication was creative. Chase had spent years insisting the ambiguity of the finale was the point. Committing to a movie meant committing to an answer, Tony alive or Tony dead. That tension created friction in development as far back as 2012. Meanwhile, HBO was navigating its own internal fracture. The network that had defined prestige television was suddenly watching Netflix launch House of Cards in February 2013. The streaming wars were beginning. HBO's attention was dividing, and a risky, creatively volatile Sopranos continuation was starting to look like an expensive argument nobody wanted to have. But that's not even the part they really buried. In June of 2013, James Gandolfini died of a heart attack in Rome. He was 51 years old, and with him, the direct continuation died completely. What HBO and Chase had been quietly developing, a film built around Gandolfini returning to Tony Soprano, became impossible overnight. The loss was real, the grief was genuine, but here is what nobody reported clearly at the time. The project had already been quietly redirected months before his death. HBO, sensing the creative friction and the shifting competitive landscape, had begun steering Chase toward a different idea. Not a continuation, a prequel, a young Tony. A safer commercial bet, a film they could make without requiring Chase to answer the unanswerable question he'd spent years protecting. Gandolfini's death gave HBO the cover story. The narrative settled into place. They couldn't continue without him, and that was that, which was true. But the continuation had already been abandoned before he ever boarded that flight to Rome. The prequel direction, what eventually became The Many Saints of Newark, released in October 2021, was a pivot born of institutional calculation, not grief. HBO took a creative and commercial choice they didn't want to own publicly and wrapped it inside a tragedy that made the whole thing look inevitable. The Many Saints of Newark cost $40 million and grossed $15 million at the worldwide box office. Critics noted almost universally what was missing, Tony Soprano, fully realized in a story set in his world. The prequel gave audiences a boy. The film they buried would have given us the man one final time on a screen 80 feet wide. Think about what that film could have been. Gandolfini in 2013 was 50 and still magnetic. One feature with David Chase at the helm released wide, answering the question the finale refused to answer. That film would have rewritten what a television-to-cinema transition looks like. Every prestige drama that followed, Breaking Bad, Succession, The Wire, every one of those showrunners would have had a new blueprint, a new ceiling, a new argument to make to their studio. Instead, HBO made a calculated retreat and called it legacy stewardship. The question nobody has fully answered: who made the call to redirect and precisely when? The development records from those 2012 meetings have never surfaced publicly. Chase has never directly addressed the timeline. HBO has never formally acknowledged that a continuation was in structured development at all. Somewhere in a legal archive at Warner Bros. Discovery, those documents exist. And if that's what HBO was willing to bury about The Sopranos, what is Paramount still hiding about the Yellowstone universe deal that never made it past a conference room?